All right, we're back with another overtime. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. When you're watching this, it'll be everyone will have gone home, I would guess, unless you have really late Thanksgiving parties. But hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. Hope you're all full. Time to lounge back, and it's time for another overtime episode number 28. And this week, since it's the special Thanksgiving episode, I thought we would look at ThanksKilling from 2007, the notorious ThanksKilling, if you will. Which this is my first time watching it all the way through. I always, I've always known about it, and I knew what it was, but this is the first time I sat down and watched it. And it was something. I'm gonna rock a 2.5 for ThanksKilling. It's one of those movies that is made to be so bad it's good. And I think there's parts where that comes across, where it works. But I did find myself this movie, it's real short. It's only an hour 10. But I found myself being man, it feels longer. At points I was just all right, come on. But there is some stuff I like in here that I'll talk about. But anyway, yeah, ThanksKilling 2007. Spoiler warning. If you've never watched this classic, I'm going to ruin everything about it. Just me by myself again, which I think it might be a solo episode tomorrow for the regular cast, because we haven't recorded it. So it might not be Horror Express. It might not be Horror Express tomorrow. It might be something else that I'll pick and do a random episode on. Yeah. Anyway, spoiler alert for ThanksKilling. It's gonna ruin everything about it, so you've been warned. The movie starts off and it's 1621. I believe an hour or something after the first Thanksgiving. And to set up what caliber of movie we're watching, the very first shot of the movie is a close up of titties. And I was all right, here we go. And they have this dog's coughing. Wait. Yeah, and so they have this close up of titties, and it's just this So first off, this movie, the budget for this movie was $3,500. It's cheap as fuck. So I get they have limitations for stuff. But this costume, and I read they wanted to do a full Thanksgiving feast and stuff, and very quickly they were we don't have the money for this, so they didn't do it. But this costume this lady is wearing, it literally is they went to fucking Spirit Halloween or whatever and just bought a pilgrim outfit and just cut out where the tits are, because it's just but for some reason the tits are out, which they never explain. But anyway, she's running through some woods and shit, and you get some first person shots of something chasing her, and you don't know what it is, and eventually, classic horror movie shit, she trips over, and when she looks over, we get the look at our coughing. And when she trips over, we get the first look at our killer in this movie, which is Turkey, who is a killer turkey. And boy, he's coming with the wisecracks. The first line of the whole movie. So the first shot was a pair of tits, and the first line of the movie is Turkey going, "Nice tits, bitch."
Nice tits, bitch.
And then he slashes down with an axe and kills her. And that's the beginning of the movie. That's your introduction to the film. We go into some opening credits that I told Tyler the other day have no reason being as good as they were. Yeah, but anyway, the opening credits have, this music has no reason being as good as it is. It's bow, wow, or some shit. I'll have it playing here. but I was sitting just vibing to it and shit. Um, and so yeah, so opening credits get done. We flash over to who are gonna be two of our main characters, who is Johnny, who we learn is like the I think the backup quarterback on the team, because there's a scene I'm going to talk about in a second that I think tells. And then his friend Billy, who, man, if I was born a couple years earlier, Billy should have been the role that I was born to play. And he's just this fat dude coming out, and he just does like a Hulk Hogan. He just rips his shirt open, and he's like, Thanksgiving break. And I was like, what? And yeah, and that was something. But yeah, they have a little conversation, and the second they start to walk away. Oh, I forgot to mention the reason that guy tore his shirt is so Allie would flash him. Because the whole joke with Allie's character is she's like a slut, and she's so stupid she doesn't know she's a slut and shit. And so she like does flash him, but she's wearing like a bra and shit. And the who will end up being the final girl in the movie, who, funny enough, she's the final girl. She's the one, I don't know her name. I know almost everyone else's name besides her. But she like pulls the shirt down and she's like, it's Thanksgiving, not Titsgiving. And I was like, you know. So anyway, they start to walk off to leave, and then as they're leaving, this nerdy dude, who I believe his name was Darren, I want to say, he comes running up behind them. And Billy's like, he's cool, you know, he's a little weird, but you get used to it and shit. And Johnny, fair game to Johnny was like, all right. And he was just vibing with it. And the Darren, or the nerdy guy, I'm just going to call him the nerd the whole time, just in case I'm getting his name wrong. But the nerd dude, like, comes over. And he's like, yeah, Johnny, you're the quarterback for the team, right? And Johnny's like, actually the backup QB and shit. And then the nerd is like, but that other guy, he's got nothing on you. And Johnny goes, yeah. And then Darren, or the nerd, goes and like wipes his mouth, and it pans over to Johnny in his fucking face. It's just amazing. And yeah, that was fun. After that, so they all leave and they get into their car and they're like, Thanksgiving break and shit. Which, I know there is a Thanksgiving break, but I don't think it's that long. Back when I was in school, I don't know if there even was a Thanksgiving break. I think they just gave you like the day before and Thanksgiving and the day after off. I think you only had like 3 days or something. I don't know, but it's been a while. So anyway, yeah, they get in their car, they drive off. Thanksgiving. We flash over to this guy who I have no idea what his fucking name is. He's really random in the movie. Who's just this like backwoodsy, like down on his luck type. He's walking through his shed with his dog, and it literally is like it's one room. It doesn't have a door, and like they make it out like that's his home. Which I guess, you know, I'm sure people live like that. But I was like, you know, all right. But yeah, this dude, he's walking with his dog, and then the dog starts walking off, and he does have a line that I enjoy, where he's like, all right, don't go too far off now. And then he stops for a second, and he's like, it's just a dog, Oscar. He can't hear you. And I'm just a lonely old hag. And I was like, oh, man, dude.
Don't go running too far off, Flashy. Dinner be done soon. It's just a dog, Oscar. And I'm just a lonely old hag.
Yeah, so the dog goes running off. We cut back to the group of kids who are now in the car driving down the road. We get a bunch of they're just talking bullshit. Fucking the nerd is like, well, since it's Thanksgiving, I thought we could all go around and say what we're thankful for, you know? And so it goes up to the final girl, the main girl, and she's like, I'm glad we're all in good health. And then Billy back in the back is gay. And then fucking Johnny, who's driving shotgun, who we learn is like crushing on homegirl throughout the movie. He's like, "No, Billy, it's not gay at all," and shit. And that was just, that was just funny. Um, yeah, and so that happens. We get a random Johnny starts talking about how him and his dad used to be real close, but now it's like we don't get along with anything or whatever. And it does like this black and white flashback to them like throwing a football and playing this piano music, and it's just real random. Um, fucking. Then you get Darren the nerd. Oh God! All right, I'm gonna look up what his fucking name is. Hold on. What is this movie? ThanksKilling. That's right. Here we go. ThanksKilling. What was this guy's fucking name? Oh, you can buy it. $13.99 on Amazon.com if anyone wants to pick this up. Man, they don't even have him listed in the fucking Darren. All right, yeah, shout out Darren. Um, but Darren starts talking about how he's gonna he's gonna get party this weekend and he's gonna get laid. He's gonna fuck someone in this car. I think he's like, I'm gonna be the one doing the sexing. Uh, and then Allie in the back is like, well, not me. I don't do that kind of stuff. And Billy goes, Allie, you're kind of a hoe. And like, and yeah, and Billy says that, and then up front we get the first time this line will be used. But it comes back like 3 times in this movie where the main girl is like, yeah, Allie, your legs are harder to close than the John Benet Ramsey case. And everyone's like, oh, and shit. And I was like, all right. Yeah, but so then they drive off and, they keep driving. We cut back and we see the dog walking through the woods and shit. And there's like this little ancient Native American totem like implanted in the ground or whatever. And it's very clear, you can tell that they just put like a treat in front of the totem so that the dog would come and stop there. Because it gets there and it's like starts eating and shit. But yeah, it gets to the totem and then it starts to piss on it like dogs do. And this somehow revives Turkey. And Turkey like comes out and he's like, fuck, piss, what the fuck? And he fucking kills the dog. So R.I.P. Little pupper. After this scene is when we get one of the greatest pieces of cinema I've ever watched, which is we go to the main girl's dad, who is sitting in his kitchen, and his wife hands him a cup of coffee. He takes a sip, and I'll play the clip here, but I like to reenact it because it's just fun to reenact. So he takes a sip of coffee, and he spits it out, and he goes, God damn, Cheryl, this tastes like shit. What do you do, take a dump in it? And his wife goes, as a matter of fact, I did. And she holds up the coffee pot, and there's just a log sitting and she's like, I want a fucking divorce. And she walks out, and fucking the dad's like, well, okay. And then he goes and takes a phone call from his daughter.
God damn, Cheryl! That coffee tastes like shit! What'd you do? Take a dump in it?
As a matter of fact, I sure did. I want a fucking divorce!
Alright then.
And the daughter's like, hey, I'm on my way home and shit. And fucking the dude's like, alright, by the way, your stepmama left me. Bye. And he hung up. It was just, at this point in the movie, which, God, that must only be like 10 minutes in. But at this point in the movie, I'm enjoying it. Because it's just so fucking weird and bad. And at this point in the movie, it seems like the actors all are in on it. But later on, I swear to God, they like do a turn where it seems like they're really trying to act instead of doing like this hokey shit that they're doing beforehand. And I think that's when I got turned off because they weren't good actors, which I'm sure they were all just buddies and they were helping. Like none of them were fucking expert, actors and shit. But yeah, I don't know. At some point, I swear they change up what they're doing, and they're like, "Why don't we play it? Why don't we really try to act?" And that's when I think the movie loses me a bit. But anyway, we go back to the kids. Their car breaks down. They're like, "Fuck, what are we gonna do?" And then I believe Darren is like, "Well, hey, we got the tent. We got beer. Why don't we just set up here and party here?" And everyone's like, "Woo, party!" And so they go walking in the woods. As they're walking, Darren trips over something, and he looks down, and in the fucking this grass on the side of the road, there's a old sign that he goes, Crawlberg, and he's like, "Where do I know that name?" And he's like, "Oh, guys," and he goes running off. And first off, I call bullshit that this ancient fucking Native American village sign, sure, but I doubt it would just be sitting literally on the side of the road. Like, it would never be discovered. But also, it gave me, like, Friday the 13th vibes. There's always the scene where they go, like, walking, and then they'll pan behind the bush, and you'll see, like, Camp Crystal Lake on this old sign and shit. But he catches up to his friends, and he's like, "The sign back there said Crawlberg." And they're like, "Yeah, so fucking what?" And he's like, "You guys don't know the story of Crawlberg?" And so he tells us the story of Crawlberg, which is this ancient, or not ancient, but like this tip-top Native American dude named Feather Cloud was dishonored by pilgrims. And the weird thing is I think it's Billy, because the guy's like, he was dishonored by like Jeff Langston or something like that. And Billy goes, "Hey, wait, that's my last name." And Darren goes, "I know, Billy. I've never thought about it before, but that guy's probably your ancestor." And I was thinking that was going to come back up, like it was going to be like but it never does. That's just a throwaway line. But yeah. And so, yeah, the Feather Cloud was dishonored by the pilgrims, so he did the spell to create this killer turkey that was going to kill all white people. There you go. That's why turkey exists. We cut back to the dude who's in the woods, and he finds Turkey over his dog, and Turkey's like, "Oh, the dog had an accident." And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" And Turkey goes, "Well, you see, I took this axe, and I accidentally hit him with it." You get it? Accident? And the guy was like, "Ooh, you motherfucker." And he like goes to like shoot him, and Turkey runs off. And the guy's like, "I'm going to get that fucking turkey." So that's that guy's inspiration for the whole movie, is the turkey killed his dog, which, fair game. So later that night, we cut back and we're with the kids, and the main girl goes like walking off into the woods to take a piss or whatever. And as she's walking, she hears like some snaps and crackles of twigs and shit. And she starts to get tripped out. And then she starts to repeat to herself, "There's no such thing as a killer turkey. There's no such thing as a killer turkey." And then it goes, and behind her, Turkey's standing there, and he goes, "There's no such thing as a killer turkey." "Oh, wait, I lied." And I was like, okay, And before he can even attack her, she just starts screaming. And Turkey's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, "God damn." And I think he goes and gets a hit on her, but she runs away, and she manages to get out of that situation. But she gets back. She tells her friend, she's like, "Hey, this evil turkey shit is real." And like everyone laughs at her. Even Darren, who's the one that told the story, is like, "It's just a myth, fucking Susie," or whatever that bitch's name is. So everyone believes her except for Johnny, but obviously Johnny's just trying to get that poontang. So he's like, "Come on, guys, maybe this is real, Or no, he sticks up for her, but then she's like, "Look at me and tell me you believe me," and he can't do it, and so she's like, and she goes walking off to her tent to like sleep. Um, so after that, they're all sitting around the campfire, just like chatting and shit, and then this random baby bunny gets presumably thrown by Turkey to land in the fire, and it makes like a wee and lands in the fucking fire, and it's just real weird. Yeah, he gets thrown in the fire, and then Darren is somehow able to just make out. He's like, "Oh wait, this bunny was killed. Its stomach was ripped open by a turkey beak." And everyone's like, "Ah, I'm sure." Or fucking Johnny goes, "We're in the woods. I'm sure that shit happens all the time." And so they're like, "You're right, Johnny." And so they just all go sleep. Fucking or no, oh sorry, I forgot to mention the Billy when the dude's like, his stomach was ripped open by a turkey beak. Billy goes, "Fuck balls." And I was like, alright. So the morning time comes around and Billy wakes up to see that old guy from the woods standing over him. He's like, "What are you doing, saving me from a killer turkey?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I did. Look at the shit on your chest," or whatever. And so Billy looks and there's just like that's what's supposed to be turkey droppings like on his chest and shit. And so from that point on, Billy now believes in the killer turkey. So they all load up in their car that they fix with just like twisting some wires and shit. Like it's real fucking dumb. And they drive off. Turkey is following them now, and he's hitchhiking on the side of the road. And this guy pulls up, and he opens up the door, and he goes, "Cash, grass, or ass." And fucking Turkey is like, "Well, I don't got any grass, so I guess it's gonna have to be ass." And he hops in, and the guy's like, "Yeah, that's what I call it, tight ass." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, I was like, "Am I missing?" You know, and he like starts to go fuck Turkey, and Turkey is like, and starts to like be weird about it. Then all of a sudden, Turkey just pulls out a shotgun. And he like puts it, and he's like, "Call your daughter." Somehow, I guess he knew the guy had a daughter. Or actually, the guy might have told him. He might have been like, "I have a daughter," and so the guy Turkey told him. So he calls his daughter, and he's like, "Everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna become." And then goes out of the car, and you see Turkey like shoot him in the head, and it does like a super like iMovie blood splatter on the fucking windshield and shit. And Turkey kills this guy and steals his car. All right, well I gotta go, Thomas. I'm gonna stop here. We'll reconvene when I get back with part 2 of this. Anyway, alright, I'm back. Stopped right after that. Went to Popeyes and then Dairy Queen, because that's how I live my life. But we're back. So, anyway, so Turkey hitches a ride with that guy, kills him, all that good stuff. Main characters finally get back in town. And they drop off Allie at her house. And once again, as they drop Allie off at her house, the main character, or the main girl, like, does the same joke again. Where she's like, her legs are harder to close than the John Benet Ramsey case. And they once again, they're like, "Yeah, that's good." And then they stop for a second, and then I think Billy is like, "Shit, that was good." And like... And I was like, really? This is the joke that, you know? But yeah, so Allie gets dropped off. They drop Johnny off at his house. By the way, as this happens, so still, only Billy and the main girl believe in Turkey. So Allie gets dropped off. They drop Johnny off at his house. And Johnny walks in, and as we went over, you know, he went over the whole thing about how him and his dad don't get along anymore and stuff. He walks in, and his dad's sitting there, like, reading the newspaper. And he's like, "Hey, how's it going, Dad?" And the kid's like, "How's it going, Johnny?" He's not, like, looking at him. And he's like, "I'm doing real good. How about you?" And his dad just looks up at him and just rips ass. He just farts.
Long time no see. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
And he farts at him and then just gets up and walks out of the room. And the guy's like, oh man. And the mom is sitting there and she's like, don't, that's just, he's just stubborn like that, Johnny. And he's like, no, no. So the dad like walks outside and sits down on the porch, and Johnny goes and sits out next to him. And I don't even remember, like, he's just like talking to him. I think he's like, why do you hate me or something like that. I don't remember. But as he's talking to him, Turkey shows up and just starts carving a dude's neck, and he cuts off his head and tosses it to Johnny, and you see like the real bad fake blood spray or whatever, and Johnny catches it, and he's like, oh shit, and he goes running to the front door, but his mom's standing there, and she has like her eyes pecked out or something. She's just standing there dead, I guess. And I was like, okay, and so Johnny books it. He gets in his car, and he's like driving. And he's like, no more pumpkin pie, no more cranberry, just turkey, fucking turkey. It was like, what? Yeah. So then, he goes to Billy, somehow he gets Billy and the nerd and the main girl all together. And he's just like, that turkey, he's real. He killed my parents. And that's how he breaks the news or whatever. And they're like, oh shit, we need to help Allie. And it cuts over and we see Allie, who went on like a date with this guy. And now Turkey has snuck into the bedroom. And we see them having sex on the bed, like fully clothed. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so Allie is having sex with this guy. And they're doing a doggy, so he's behind her. And Turkey, like, sneaks in, and then he, like, kills the guy, and the guy, like, sprays out some fake blood on her back. And so she thinks he came, and he's like, I thought you would last longer than that, So then the movie decides to have Turkey replace the guy, and he starts fucking her. And, like, and the whole time he's like, ooh, oh god, that's so good, like, it's just, yeah. And so eventually he finishes, and then she's like, what, a turkey? And Turkey's like, you just got stuffed. And then with like his fake wing, he somehow snaps her neck and kills Allie. And I was like, all right. So then later the main characters, they find Allie dead, and this is when I guess the only point that they have the JonBenet Ramsey thing is because then they try to make a joke here where Darren the nerd is like, boy, her legs were harder to close than JonBenet Ramsey's legs. And so he just messes it up and shit. And I guess that's the only reason they kept bringing up this weird joke about the JonBenet Ramsey case. But yeah, they find her dead. They find an extra small condom or an extra small gravy condom or something like that. It was something really weird like that.
I found this in there too. And this. An extra small gravy flavored condom.
That makes them come to the conclusion that, oh shit, Turkey killed Allie. So they're like, fuck, we gotta kill Turkey, So they decide to go to the main girl's dad, the sheriff, his house, because he has like a bunch of books and shit. So they determine that maybe he'll have a book on how to defeat Turkey. So they're going to the sheriff's house. We go over to the sheriff's house, and he sees like this thing on his fridge. It's like dressed up as a fucking turkey, and it's like a contest or something. So he gets this full turkey get up on. There's a knock at the door. He goes and answers, and he's like, hello? And there's no one there. And then he looks down, and Turkey's there wearing like the fake fucking nose and mustache and the glasses and shit. And once again, like the dad's like, oh, hey there, fella, totally doesn't seem aware that it's a turkey. And the guy's like, oh, I'm here to meet, I think the girl's name is Misty. It's Misty or Misty is the main girl. But he's like, I'm here to, talk with Misty or whatever. And the sheriff's like, oh, you're friends with her? And Turkey's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I didn't know she had any midget friends. And I was like, okay. But sheriff's like, they're not here, but you can come in and wait for a minute. So Turkey's like, all right. So then we get, and admittedly, it is kind of funny. It's Turkey dressed up in like his Groucho Marx or whatever, mustache and glasses. And then the sheriff dressed up as a turkey. And they're just sitting at this dinner table, like all silent. And they try to make like some small talk. And then Turkey's like, ah, man, fucking weather out there, huh? Pretty crazy. And then the sheriff's like, did you just say fucking? And like, it's just, and he's caught off guard because he's like, I don't think someone your age should be saying fuck, you know? He's like, how old are you anyway? And Turkey's like, I'm 510 years old. And so the sheriff is like, well, fuck it, I guess you can say it then. So Turkey decides he's gonna like let this guy live, I guess. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna leave now. And the guy like calls him a midget again or something like that. And so Turkey's like, you're really pushing it. So he's about to leave. And then the dad's like, man, what an odd little duck. And so Turkey's like, all right, that does it. And so he kills the sheriff. Then the main characters get to the sheriff's house. And they knock on the door. And Turkey answers the door in like a mini Leatherface face of the dad that he's put together. And fucking the girl is like, oh, Paul, you look great. Did you get a haircut or something? And she's hugging him. And Turkey's like, oh, yeah, you know. And at this point, it was hard for me to determine whether or not I thought this was funny or if I was just like, what the fuck are y'all doing? But Turkey's wearing this fake little face. And they're like, we just need to come in to look for a book or something. Hold on. So, yeah, they're like, we need to look for a book. And so Turkey's like, all right, well, good luck, kids, you know. And so then we get a montage of them looking and reading through books and shit. And, like, the main girl and Johnny are doing this shit where they're, like, touching hands as they reach for a book at the same time. And, like, you know, leaning in for a kiss. I think Billy's, like, eating some shit or something. I'm pretty sure it's set to the same music that's from the opening credits, too. Which makes sense, because they probably didn't have enough money to make different songs for everything. But eventually, Darren finds the book. And they see that he's invulnerable, but there's, like... To me, it sounded like they were calling it a talon finned. Like a finned, or, you know, or whatever. But I think if I remember right, it's just like a medallion or something. It's like a necklace. But he's wearing it, like, under his feathers or some bullshit. But anyway, this thing is, you have to get it away from him, and then he becomes vulnerable, and you're supposed to burn him at the stake, and all this shit, and that's how you kill Turkey. So Billy is like, he's like, I'm fucking hungry. And they're like, how can you eat at a time like this? And he's like, I'm hungry. What do you want me to say, you know? So he goes walking off to the kitchen or whatever to find like some food, and he stumbles across Turkey over the sheriff's dead body, and you see the sheriff like his face peeled off and shit. And so Billy finally is like if the sheriff's there, then you must be the turkey or whatever. And I won't say the line that Turkey says here, but I'll play it right here.
You kids are retarded.
There you go. And man, I know it's not politically correct, but I was like, yeah. I was like, how did you guys not realize that this was a fucking turkey? But yeah, and so they all like corner him. They start to talk, and once again, I won't say this line either, but he says this.
Shut up. I do the talking, faggot.
Yeah, he says that, and I was at that point still, I was like, that made me laugh. I mean, it's not supposed to, but it made me laugh. So anyway, after that, Turkey is like, I'm here to kill all white people who disrespect Indians and stuff. And so I was like, it's just weird him like saying that. Native American people don't call themselves Indians. I'm not gonna go down this conversation, but yeah, and so he's like, so I'm here to kill you, and he like attacks him. They have a little fight, and they manage to like steal the thing from him and stuff. So he runs off, but then they're like, don't worry, we got his talent or whatever the fuck it is, you know. So they get the thing. Billy like leaves. He's like, I'm gonna go eat food or something like that. I don't know. Billy just sort of wanders off. And Darren is like, all right, now we have the thing. So he's like, we need to burn him at the stake, and use like this reversed demonic spell, like the old witch trials, you know, the usual. And then and then Johnny goes, damn, this shit ain't gonna be easy. That was like, I like that too. Yeah, and so they're like, all right, we need to do that. And then they read, and it's like, after, if you don't know where he is, that means he's at his teepee. Because apparently this turkey has a random teepee, you know. And if he's not at his teepee, then he's killing one of your friends. And so they're like, Billy! And they go, and we cut to Billy, who's walking down the street, and Billy's just like, man, I'm so hungry. He's just like obsessed with eating. And he looks over, and Turkey, I guess, uses this like weird spell that turns him into like, it looks like a cartoon turkey, like you would see in Tom and Jerry or something, like floating there. And he's like, hey, Billy, 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 come to Turkey, you know? And so Billy goes over and like takes the turkey, and he's like, ooh, and eats it. And then Turkey like bursts out his stomach. This is when we get the tagline of the movie, where Turkey goes, gobble, gobble, motherfucker. I was like, all right.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
And then he sneaks in, like, he doesn't just do one, like, snappy line or whatever. He does two, because he's like, and that's what I call foul play or whatever. And I was like, all right, shut up, dude. So the friends eventually find Billy, and Darren is real upset. He's, like, crying. There's like 3 minutes of him just going, I love you, Billy. Billy, you my best friend. And he's crying. And then it goes into the worst and best music montage I've ever seen, which is the like Billy and the nerd like prancing through a field and like eating ice cream cones. And then it's singing, and it's like, Billy, 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 you are my best friend. It was
You were my friend. My friend. You got killed by a turkey. Who's not my friend? My friend. Oh, Billy, Billy, Billy. You were my best friend.
And it was, yeah, so Billy's dead. The friends eventually find Turkey's teepee, which is just a teepee sitting in the middle of this field. And they like burst in, and they're like, yeah, we got you now. And Turkey's like, you don't got shit. But then Darren like goes around the back and like gets him by the neck. And they start doing the prayer. And at first Turkey's like, oh yeah, what are you doing? And then after a while he's like, ah, and he's like hurting and shit. And they're like, yeah, we're getting them. So eventually they use the spell, and Darren's like, all right, now he's like completely vulnerable. We can kill him now. And so Darren's like, fuck it, burn him and shit, you know? And this is when the main girl goes where she's like, I'm ready to see this cock burn. And Johnny's like, you mean a turkey? And she's like, no, like the dick, not the animal. What does it mean? What does it mean? And Turkey's like, I'm out of this shit. And he goes running out the TP. But as soon as he runs out, the old dude who Turkey killed his dog is standing there. And he's like, not this time, motherfucker. And he shoots him. And Turkey goes flying and lands in a dumpster or whatever. Or like trash can. So he lands in the trash can, but then we see, like, on the side of the trash can, it's got, like, a little nuclear thing on it or whatever. But everyone stands around the trash can. They're like, yeah, we got him, you know? And the old dude is like, yeah, you know, but I wonder, was it worth it? I lost my dog. Maybe you guys would know if you lost your mother, your best friend, and your father. And it was just, because that's what all of them, so he says that as they're talking, it pans down and you see like Turkey's eye go green. And you're like, oh shit. So Darren is like, all right, well, how do we celebrate? And then they decide to just go watch a movie. And they go back to the girl's house. Or no, I think it's Johnny's house they go to. They go to Johnny's house. And they walk in, and there's a great where Darren's like, or no, Johnny's like, yeah, let's rock this movie. And Darren goes, I want to watch it. It's just really weird. And then, of course, they sit down as Night of the Living Dead, which I think we've been over Night of the Living Dead up until, like, last year was, like, free domain. And so that's why every movie you watch, like, a horror movie like this, that'll be the movie everyone's watching because it's just free. They forgot to like put in the claim for it or whatever. And so forever, like no one in that movie was getting paid for it and shit because it was just out there. Anyone could use it. So they're sitting watching the movie. They're like all cuddled up, like Darren's sitting close to him and stuff. And then Johnny's talking to the main girl and he's like, I may have lost my parents, but I gained a girlfriend. And she's like, Johnny, does that mean? And he's like, yeah. Will you go out with me? And she's like, yeah. And they start to make out, and like Darren's sitting there, and he's like, But eventually, they like, they don't kiss on screen. They like fall out of screen. You never see them like actually kiss. But Darren's like, all right, I'm gonna go get a snack or something. So he goes wandering into the kitchen, and then of course while he's in there, Turkey, who now is like radiating like all this green nuclear shit, is back from the dead. And he knocks over Darren. And then probably the best kill of the movie, he like gets his tongue and just rips it out. And it's like real gnarly. And he rips out his tongue and then he just starts like just pecking into his chest or whatever. And so he ends up killing Darren. As Darren's dying, he sees Billy at like the pearly gates. And he's like, come on, dude. God's waiting. There's no turkeys in heaven. It's just, I like the Billy and Darren relationship. So then we go back over to Johnny and the main girl. And they're like talking about Turkey again. And then Johnny does like he's got to be dead unless he fell in some radioactive waste. But that only happens in movies. And so, but still, he's like, I'm going to go check on Darren, though, because he's been gone a while. So he gets up, they go in, he sees Darren dead. He's like, oh, shit. Turkey jumps out of nowhere, and he has, like, a turkey carver, and he, like, sticks it into Johnny's stomach. But you can, like, the actor playing Johnny just has to, like, hold the turkey carver while the puppet just sits there with the, anyway, you know what I'm saying. But so he stabs Johnny. The main girl comes in and like sees it, and I think she knocks Turkey away. And her and Johnny go walking out to like this shed, and Johnny ends up dying. I was surprised that they killed him off, but the girl ends up being the only one that lives in the movie. So she opens up the shack and she has like the can of deodorant or whatever and the lighter, and she sets Turkey on fire, and Turkey's like, oh, my fucking feathers are melting. he's yelling and shit. He's burning. She goes over, Johnny dies in like her arms. She comes back with a baseball bat and she does a terrible like hey Turkey, peck on someone your own size, and she hits him with a baseball bat straight into this random pyre. Or just set up there that he lands in and catches on fire. And this is around the time that I noticed that all the shtick acting or like the nonsensical acting like sort of stopped. And like when Johnny was not like everything there seemed to be played real, like they were really trying to act, and it just wasn't working for me. But she goes over, the dude's melting in the fire. The old guy randomly shows up again, and it looked like, and I was like, because it looks like he's wearing like an eye patch now, But going back, it's just like his bandana had slowly moved down throughout the movie. So he just looks like he's wearing an eye patch. But he's like, good job, Missy. And she's like, I know. And she's like eating a turkey leg that came off of him somehow. And yeah, she walks away. And you think that's it. But before the movie's over, we go to a random family who's having Thanksgiving dinner. And there's a cooked turkey on the table. It starts to shake as they're saying prayer, and then it flies at the screen, and you hear Turkey going, "Do I smell sequel, biatch?" And it flies at the thing, and that's the end of ThanksKilling. I think it goes back into that bitchin' song from the opening credits, though. But yeah, so this movie had a budget, like I said earlier, $3,500, which is nothing. And I was thinking about it, and like, it's real. I don't defend movies with like cheap budgets and stuff like that, because there's movies with cheap budgets who have been able to do a lot. But when people talk about this movie and they're like, it's terrible and all this stuff or whatever, and which, to be fair, it's not good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not good. But I was thinking about it, and like, I don't know, because to me it was just it's a bunch of people who were just buddies that wanted to make this horror movie, and they made it. And you can say what you want about it, but like, we're talking about it, like, people are still talking about it. It gained a bunch of popularity like 2 years ago or something. I think me and Tyler might have mentioned, or we talked about, but like Achievement Hunter, anyone knows it, they had a show, Theater Mode, that was basically like fucking mystery science theater or whatever, where they're just commenting on the movies. And they did ThanksKilling, so this movie had like a big spike in popularity. But like, and so it's just, you can say what you, and obviously I think it's still talked about because people talk about how bad it is. But still, it's probably cool. Like, I'm sure everyone that made this movie is probably like, it's a cool thing to be involved with. I would like to think. But the infamous opening scene I talked about with Wanda Lust is the name of the lady with her tits out, was shot in a without a permit in a public park. So they just guerrilla styled in that shit. Also, I forgot to mention that at the end when he does the sequel, or I smell sequel, biatch, it's like, to be continued in space. That was placed in the movie as a complete joke. But spoiler warning, a sequel did end up coming out, ThanksKilling 3, but the whole joke is like they're in search of the ThanksKilling 2, but it is in space, so shout out shout out to that. Or no, it's not in space, or is it in space? I've never watched the sequel. I know even less about the sequel, but I could have sworn it was in space. I think so. I'm gonna say it's in space. I'm gonna look it up, guys. Let's look up ThanksKilling 3. Let's see. Man, I don't even know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they didn't plan on making a sequel. That should be what I should say. But they did end up making it. Yeah, well, I think that's about it, though. Best of, worst of. My best of has to be the goddamn Cheryl. This tastes like shit. Because I laughed at that so hard. That was great. Yeah, a runner up would be the Billy song. That was good. And then worst of, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know. Maybe the whole thing with the JonBenet Ramsey joke that goes throughout the movie. It just seems so weird. I don't know what the deal was with that. But there's a lot to pick from in this movie. It's fun. I feel like you should watch it. Like, and just have buddies around and stuff. Like, it's not good. I gave it a 2.5 or something. Which, like I said, the first 20 minutes or so is really enjoyable of how bad it is. And then after that, it's like, oh, this just keeps going, But anyway. Alright, well, thanks for listening. Tomorrow, like I said, it's supposed to be Horror Express, but I don't think that's going to happen this week, so that'll probably be next week. And it'll probably just be me doing something. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I thought maybe Zombieland, because that's just a fun little, but I don't know. But tomorrow, something will be out. Yeah. And then next week, we'll be back to Horror Express, I think. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I'll see you for Christmas. When Christmas comes around, I think Christmas, we're probably going to watch Santa's Sleigh or whatever with Bill Goldberg, because that seems like fun. Obviously last year we did the classic Silent Night, Deadly Night, which that movie is still naughty. It's great. But anyway, so thanks for watching. See you tomorrow for whatever comes out. And I'll catch you guys later. All right.